Hello, everyone. Welcome to NRG Studios in North Hollywood. I'm here with Mr. Brent Fischer. Thank you very much for having me along for the past couple of days on your session as well.
Sure, thank you for coming.
It's been a magnificent time watching you work.
Thank you.
Firstly, for those of you who don't actually know of your work, would you like to quickly describe what it is you do?
Sure, I'm a producer, arranger, composer. I've been in the industry for quite a while now. I've gotten a chance to work with some great artists, starting with, a long time ago, Prince, Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney, Al Jarreau, more recently, Usher, D'Angelo, Questlove, The Roots, Elvis Costello. I've gotten to do orchestral or horn or string arrangements for a lot of these people, and so that's part of what I do. In the studio situation that you saw me in the last couple of days, I was actually producing the entire album from the ground up, writing the material, taking somebody else's songs, arranging them for large ensembles. So either a big band, a set of musicians like playing guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, plus strings or plus clarinets or any other instruments that I decided to add into them. And so this is really a ground up type of project. But there's sometimes when I just go in and somebody, somebody will have sent me a track and I just add something onto it and then send it back. As a matter of fact, that's the way that actually my late father, Claris Fischer, and I existed with Prince for many years. Was Prince actually never attended any of our recording sessions. He just sent the material, we added an arrangement, and then sent it back.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Technology, yeah?
Yep. Yep, it works well.
So you were saying your father was someone you worked with quite musically. Were you involved with music right from being a child, or was there a certain point where suddenly you clicked onto it and thought, I want to be involved in music, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I'm sort of envious of people who discover music in their childhood, because I actually just grew up with it.
Yeah,
it's all I knew from my earliest memories are being a toddler, lying on a pillow underneath my father's grand piano, hearing him compose and practice. And so I just grew up thinking, everybody, when you grow up, you become a musician. And so that's what I did.
A combination of nature and nurture.
Right.
So am I right in thinking your first experience with recording was with your father when you were about 16?
Yes, I made my first album I worked on one of my father's albums when I was 15.
15.
And that album, by the way, won a Grammy in 1981.
Congratulations on that.
That was great. And but he actually started taking me into the recording studio the minute he knew that I understood that when the recording light goes on, you have to shut up.
Yes.
And just don't make any noise at all. You can, I could still.
You would have had that drilled into you from an early age.
I could still play with my toys or whatever I wanted to do, but I had to, as a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, he figured at that point I understood that I had to shut up in the studio when everybody was recording.
Of course.
And so he let me do that. And I
taking the batteries out of all your noisy toys.
Yeah. So I would sit next to all these great musicians that he was working with. Harvey Mason and these incredible drummers. Sure. And I started in life as a drummer before I, expanded to electric bass and keyboard and all the other instruments that I play.
And covering all aspects of the industry by the sounds of it.
Yeah. It's good to have. You can never have enough experiences in the music industry. There's always something to learn from. There's always a different avenue to explore. And right now it's this whole digital revolution and figuring out how we go about making this transition from physical audio products to cloud-based audio products.
Exactly.
Right.
So you were saying this album you were involved in when you were 15, working with your father in 1981, that ended up winning a Grammy.
Yeah.
How was it for you to have this first moment in the recording in the studio with your father, and that album going on to win a Grammy? How was it having not only the fact of winning the Grammy and having the musical appreciation, but having such a close family member alongside you that whole way as well?
Yeah, I mean, it was wonderful. I have so many good memories. Usually at the point where most teenagers are completely rebelling from their fathers and getting into fights with them and all this stuff that goes along. And I, we did get into arguments and stuff. There was that teenage element while I was going through that phase, but for the most part, we were always working together too.
Of course. You do come to blows in the studio sometimes, always being around each other, let alone with family.
Yeah, but I mean, it was all nothing ever got really serious or out of hand or anything like that, and we ended up working 32 years together until the end of his life. And so it was just a wonderful experience. I've got a lot of great memories of all the sessions that we did, and there was something different to do every day. So and then of course I started developing all the other aspects of my career at the same time. First working with a lot of different bands and touring around, and so getting the experience of being a traveling musician, and then later I could use that experience to become my father's road manager
Sure.
for the group. I figured as long as I was playing in the group and I had all these experiences on the road with other groups and watching other managers either do a great job or a bad job, and taking note and becoming the
remembering
victim
what's good and remembering what's not.
When bad decisions were made, then I could put that to use when I was organizing a tour myself. And I guess that just comes with the whole thing with organizing an event. And this big event that we had for the last 2 days with 30 musicians is just another element of putting together all these elements, or putting together all these different people, all the different processes that go together to make an album happen. And of course, this is only the halfway point, right? We've just recorded all the tracks. Now we have to go and edit for a while. We're going to do some overdubs, add a few more live instruments on, and then we'll, start looking at the waveforms in very granular detail.
Of course.
Yeah, and then after that, mixing, mastering, get the whole product developed and released for this artist.
So having been in the industry for so long, you would have seen the music industry go through its massive change, not only in terms of the structure of it, but in terms of the technology that comes into the studio. Over these past couple of days, I've seen you work with primarily large sections of musicians, or most people playing together live.
Yeah.
Have you had to adapt or change your workflow in any way in these past couple of decades, or is it still retained from when you were working with your father? You're working in exactly the same styles as back in the 80s.
There were a lot of larger budgets, where we used to be able to afford much larger orchestras.
Of course.
But at the same time, my adaptation has been, number one, to make sure I surround myself with only really first-class, top-notch musicians. That's one part of it. So I actually need less time in the studio and less musicians to get the same type of huge sound that I'm looking for when it's called for.
Of course.
And the other thing is just developing your studio technique so you can get a lot done in very little time. I want to make sure my clients are happy, and that my goal is to always bring in a project on time and under budget.
Exactly.
And we've done that here again.
Yes. So just wrapping up on day 2. And speaking of which, accomplished an amazing amount.
We got probably 70. I haven't added it all up, but it's probably about 70 or 80 minutes of music, fully recorded, with all the nuances, and got a chance to take multiple run-throughs. That's when you're working with really great musicians, all this stuff is possible.
Of course. And you've been working a lot with your engineer Matt. Rumor has it for somewhere close to 10 years.
Yes.
Does delegating out the engineering task enable you to focus on your arrangement and producing and all that, and make the whole process a lot more efficient as well?
Yeah, delegation is a big part of it too. I have production assistants that each have their duties, and they all are part of the whole to help me, pull everything together, and also help me keep all of these elements organized and make sure
everyone with a specific task.
Yeah, we have this enormous checklist, and
I was surprised to see how many people were sitting by the console when I first arrived.
Yeah,
it's great.
and so I have created the framework, and then I have different tasks for various people to do, and Matt is a huge part of that.
Mm.
Another part is my manager, Claris Dodge, and she runs Studio Espresso, who you're affiliated with. I've been affiliated with her for close to a decade now, and not only does she provide that service, but she just helps keep things running smoothly for me.
Perfect.
And like for instance, when I was so busy writing on this latest project to get everything prepared in time for this session, that I really had to cut out all non-essential activities. I mean, I was pretty much confined to my house writing music.
And you've delegated yourself just that task.
Yes. And I mean, I haven't been to the gas station to fill up my car in probably 2 or 3 weeks, and had people doing shopping for me.
Oh, perfect.
So I could really just have every moment for the creative process.
It is an essential part, though, to actually get it done. You need to be disciplined and delegate out that sort of.
Well, I would prefer to have more time and be able to, also spend time, organizing my bookshelf or something like that. Just do those daily life type of things. I sort of had to push all those to the side, and now I'll catch up on them in the next weeks.
Between now and 9 a.m. when you start tomorrow, right?
Yes, exactly.
A few more coffees.
We're gonna do some more overdubs tomorrow, and that'll go on for a little while. I also have some guest artists that'll be coming in from different cities.
Brilliant.
Over the summer, and we'll add them on, and then we'll get this album ready for release in time for Grammy consideration. That's always, something that
something to consider.
You never know what can happen in any given year. I've had albums that were well received publicly and did not get a nomination, and I've had some other albums that actually didn't get that much attention on the radio or in the press and won a Grammy or got nominated, or in some cases have actually won. So you never know what's going to happen. It's a combination of...
You got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, and I mean, first you have to enter, right?
Yes.
People ask me, how do I get a Grammy? Well, first you have to enter. And then you have to have an incredible product that you're proud of. And then you need to be able to get people to notice that project. And
all tasks delegated out to very individual people as well.
Yep, I have a team working on that too, and so, but then it also depends on how many other people have released in your same category that year.
Yeah, what kind of competition you're up against.
You can have an incredible album, but then there's like this, groundbreaking thing that happens in somebody else's career. There's a milestone or something like that, and it'll eclipse the whole project.
Fierce competition.
So, that's just part of it.
Of course.
Yeah. And
speaking of doing things outside of the studio, I heard you recently ran a masterclass as well.
I do that occasionally. That's part of. I learned so much from my father, and I've learned so much from watching and working with all these other musicians over the years, that I feel it's important to pass along what I've learned to other people. So I've done, master classes at universities, for instance, for college students that are either in arrangement, engineering, or some sort of production career, music production career. And then I did the masterclass that I did recently was specifically for composers and arrangers, who I could get into very, very detailed discussion of music theory and the finer elements, as opposed to just the general elements of, let's say, music appreciation or stuff that I would gear towards the general public. This was specifically for trained musicians, and specifically for composers, so I could take all the knowledge that I've amassed over the years and make sure that this is carried on, because part of what I'm doing is carrying on all these great concepts that I saw my father develop.
Yeah, sure. And, I can understand wanting to pass them on.
There are a lot of people to this day, even non-musicians, who can listen to an old Prince song or something like that, and they'll say, I recognize that that's Claire Fischer's arrangement in there. And I like that also now people have, taken this arrangement that I did for D'Angelo, and also that's kind of become, my recent, let's say, signature or hallmark, that people can recognize my sound through that song.
Brilliant.
And so having little key moments like this in your career is a great thing, but then to also pass along the knowledge to somebody else, make sure that my contribution,
feeding the future,
my contribution to civilization lives on.
Yes, of course.
Right? Yeah.
Is there one moment that really stands out to you as being a absolutely phenomenal moment in your career that you look back on and tap your foot and feel pretty proud over?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was getting ready in 2004 to go on a 2 week vacation to your home country, right? New Zealand?
That's the one.
Yeah, yeah, I was getting ready to go there, and all of a sudden I got a call from Prince's assistant saying that we want you and your father to participate in a project that we're doing. And I didn't even get very many details. They just
Sure.
said it was going to be a live performance at the Grammys. And so I cut my New Zealand vacation in
I was gonna
half
say,
so
of
I could
course you
get,
would.
you know, I did the beginning part of the project, and then I left it in my father's capable hands. I
Mm-hmm.
went on my vacation. I came back. He had finished his part. Then I went and did my part, and it turned out that this performance was the opening performance of the 2004 Grammy Awards, and it wasn't just Prince. It was Prince doing a medley with Beyonce.
Incredible.
So
What a gig.
so we both got to write for this fantastic medley of like all these Prince and Beyonce hits strung together, or I should say artfully crafted together.
Yes.
Right, because it really was. It was a brilliant. You know, I'm sure Prince was in large part the one who put together this grand medley. But to be a part of that, and to have that, you know, that share that moment in history with Prince and Beyonce was a great thing. It was also a great thing to you know, sort of bittersweet that my father and I met with Michael Jackson maybe 6 or 7 years before his, you know, untimely demise.
Mm.
And we were talking about doing a project with him, but that never went through. Like so many things in the music industry, some things
Yeah, unfortunately,
get
we
a
got
green
left at
light
the
from the
wayside.
record company, or you know, there are other circumstances that can come to play that can either help or hurt a project,
Hmm.
or stop it cold, or give it new life. You know,
Or
you
perhaps it was going to happen, but as you
well,
said, untimely death.
what ended up happening was that project didn't go through in 2003, but after Michael passed away, they found that cassette tape of the song "This Is It," and at that point, they contacted my father and I, and they asked if they could have an orchestral arrangement for the song "This Is It" to use on the record and in the movie.
Oh, perfect.
And at that point, I was ghostwriting for my father because he had told me that he just didn't feel like writing anymore. He was pretty old, and you know, he just wanted to enjoy his life and be
Yeah,
with his
step back from it for a
family,
little bit.
and you know, not have to worry about all these. What I did towards the end of his life was to have him as involved in a project as he wanted to be, and that would be on a day-to-day basis. You know,
Sure.
depending
So
on
you were gradually picking up the things that he wanted to leave.
well, yeah, there was this whole process that occurred over, let's say, a 20-year period. You know, starting way back in the early '90s, of him delegating more tasks to me,
Yes.
and you know, little by little, it became sort of all-consuming. He passed over directorship of all of his ensembles to me.
And you having learnt from him, you do it in exactly the same sort of manner as well. So.
Well, I've got my own take on things, but the idea is that I'm greatly inspired by what I learned
yes,
from him.
that's what. That's
And
the
then
direction I meant to
I
say.
use that plus, you know, information that I've learned from other people to make the albums that we're continuing to make albums. I've got a lot of piano recordings that I did of my father before he passed away, knowing that, you know, the plan this plan was set into motion a long time ago. He said, you know, I would like to record everything I've ever written and have it all be released at some point. And he knew that he might not make it all the way to that point, and we're not there yet. We've released a lot of material, but I still have probably another few albums to go.
It's an incredible
with him playing
thought.
piano or some music that he's written. And so we're getting all that done.
Getting recordings that are spanning decades as well.
That's right.
It's incredible.
Yeah. The continuum of history, you know, is well represented in all this music that we're doing. So it's modern, and it's forward thinking, and it's you know, I believe that there is an artistic evolution taking place in music right now, and I see it happening across all genres. I don't believe that this is one of those arts that merely changes form, and you know, people say it can't evolve. I believe there is an evolution of evolving, and especially with the addition of all the technology that we have, and the way that recording techniques have changed so much over the years.
Yeah. I mean, how could it's an art form? How could it not keep evolving?
Exactly. So, but at the same time we're doing this evolution, we're taking part in this evolution. I'm also mindful of everything that happened before me, and so I like to pay respect to all the history that preceded me.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're integrating the previous techniques, but adding a little sprinkle of something new in it as well.
Yep. And there's always, there's always something that you can look back on or learn from things that have been done in the past. And everybody's ideas all come from somewhere else, right?
Take an idea, manipulate it, make it your own, and
that's
pass
right.
it on.
Yeah.
So is this these albums that you'll be releasing with your father's piano playing and that sort of thing? What else can we expect for you in the future? What do you have any ideas and plans you can release with us, or is this all building up to a big surprise?
Yeah.
I don't want to give away too much.
I think part of the surprise is when I just get a call from another great artist and that says, can you work with me on my next album?
Yeah.
And
we're watching closely at the next opening of the Grammys.
Yeah. We never know what's going to happen. So I might be there and I might not. It just depends on what unfolds in my career. But the point is to enjoy what I'm doing, which I do greatly, and I really do enjoy what I do every day, and to just create excitement for people in their life through my artistic contributions.
It's a brilliant way to put it.
Thank you.
And going on from here, you said that we've discussed how the industry has changed and things are constantly developing. If there was someone, say 15-year-old you now, who was entering the industry, what advice would you give to that 15-year-old to try and pursue a successful production and arranging career in today's world, really, today's music industry?
Yeah, I mean, well, there are so many different ways to approach it, because this is one of the few industries where you can actually become very successful and very, very, if you have talent, you can actually make a career for yourself without any training whatsoever. Actually, the training happens through the doing,
Yes.
But then I feel there is an advantage for those people who are starting out in their career, who do have a college degree of some kind in music, and it doesn't necessarily have to be for playing an instrument. It could be a degree in music production, in music engineering,
Understanding some form of it to a deeper level. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it makes things go much quicker in the studio. It makes things go quicker for live performance too. If you have the ability to analyze
and understand
what you're doing. Analyze and understand exactly what you're doing and where your strengths and weaknesses are and how you can improve yourself. I had an old college professor that said once you graduate, that's when the real learning begins.
Yes.
Because you have the tools at that point to really teach yourself. And some people can do that from age 5 or 6. They watch and they absorb and then they create. But still, having an education really helps. So that's one thing. The other thing is you have to be prepared to do just about anything in the music industry, right? Because people will call you, and I've had people mistakenly think that I played one instrument when my main instrument is really something else. But then I'd go and I'd look at the music, and I think, well, my training is enough on this particular instrument that I think I could actually help this person out if he.
You're like, sure, I play bassoon.
Well, no, I do not play bassoon actually, but I was thrown into a couple of situations, in my life where all of a sudden people asked me to play keyboard on a gig, and that's not my main instrument.
Sure.
But I know enough keyboard so I can go there and do a good job in certain genres,
Yeah.
And in certain types of music, as long as they don't expect me to take some sort of fantastic solo or anything like that. If
64-bar solo.
It's just, if it's just playing parts. So in any case, the point is, you have to be prepared to do just about anything. You have to be prepared if somebody comes along and they need help with their publishing. You need to be able to find out what you need to know about that particular aspect of the music industry so that you can get this job done.
Yeah, sure. So,
You know,
a
so
little bit of knowledge all around, an all-encompassing understanding.
yeah, exactly. Because actually in the music industry, I would say, you know, the original phrase is jack of all trades, master of none. But learning many different crafts within the music industry they will all help each other.
Yeah, sure.
So they will help you in whatever you decide to do. You know, having all that knowledge will help you, especially in a situation like this where I'm in charge of the production and I've got to call all the shots.
Yeah, you're jumping between things. You're even playing while conducting, while producing.
Yeah.
So it's a massive
Punishment, right?
It's incredible just being able to put on all three hats at the same time and say, right, let's go.
Yep. And you know, I couldn't do that without all the wonderful experiences I've had in my life and all the training that I've gotten. So
exactly,
training really is the key to it, you know, and watching and learning and observing and yeah, it sounds very clinical. It sounds like I'm talking about a science experiment, but it's true. It all
I know
applies.
what you mean.
You know what I mean? It's part of the learning experience. Just in this case, it's applied to artistic creation.
Yes.
Right.
And in beautiful areas like this.
Yeah, and you know, and that's all the more something that can help you enhance your creativity. You know, so if you're in that frame of mind, you can enhance the creativity of other people that have asked you to join in on their project. Yeah,
it's a great answer.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll ask you if people are to follow what you're doing in the future, or now and ongoing. Do you have social media pages or a website or anything that people can follow you on?
Yeah, I don't have a huge thing set up because I'm not actually an artist per se. I am a behind-the-scenes music industry person, but
of course.
Actually,
for example, your website address.
You can. First of all, you can check out my producer profile on studioexpresso.com. I've got one there. Just type in Brent Fischer, but then you know all you have to do really is type my name. Just Google Brent Fischer, and up will come my website and my Facebook page and my LinkedIn profile. And,
and a photo of you and Prince.
Yes, there is one out there.
I did that the other night as well.
Yeah, that was taken by his photographer at the 2004 Grammys.
And that was the first meeting then as well?
That was the first and only meeting with Prince in 24 years of working with him.
It's an incredible thing.
Yeah.
We often think about that just in the kind of internet generation where we've got high-speed internet now and can send files around the world. You never really think about that happening so long ago.
Well, yeah, and there are lots of people who make music with other people on different continents, and they may never meet that person in their lifetime, but they've been able to make music with them. And that's
very aware of that being from New Zealand.
Yeah.
The little island tucked in the corner of the map.
That's right.
Yeah,
beautiful
the
island.
Internet's been a savior for that.
Right. Sure. So these are all, you know, these are all ways that you can find out about me. First of all, you can just Google Brent Fischer, but then there is BrentFischer.com. And there is a Brent Fischer artist Facebook page.
Perfect.
Very small one. It's growing little by little.
Well, we'll get a few more after this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And on that, I'll let you get to bed because I know it's been a long 2 days and you've got to prepare for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for the interview and for having me in over these past couple of days. It's been a great experience.
And wonderful to meet you.
You too.
All right.
Cheers.
At 87, and we'll keep going.
Can we put you here, actually?
Oh, okay. We gotta do that. Well, we don't need him for right now. Let's just rehearse 87 because there's no bass there, so we can use the bass while we're doing that. 87.